Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Jonathan. Today I'm bringing you a video about why you should sign a 6-year contract instead of a 4-year contract, which is contrary to the video that I just uploaded about a week ago about why you should sign a 4-year contract instead of a 6-year contract. So I'm making this video because the other video I made was really biased because I signed a 4-year contract, and my personal opinion is I think that 4-year is probably the most practical for most people who join the Air Force. In fact, I think most people do join as a 4-year contract. But there are people out there where the 6-year contract will definitely suit your life better. And so I kind of wanted to just make 2 videos where the information is out there and then you can make the best decision for your life. So probably the biggest pro when you're joining the Air Force and you join with a 6-year contract is you're going to put on A1C, which is E3, almost like as soon as you graduate tech school. And I believe there is something, and most people it's when you graduate tech school, but some people are in tech school for a really long time. And so you'll become A1C while you're at tech school. It's one of those type of things. I think it's like 20 weeks or something like that. But most people do end up just putting on A1C and sewing on as soon as they leave tech school. But even through BMT, you're still an Airman Basic or trainee or whatever you want to call it. But when you become an A1C, when you graduate tech school, it gets backdated to when you graduated BMT. So you're still gonna have that time in service, but you're not gonna get like back pay or anything crazy like that. So the biggest reason that you would join 6 years is if you want to make a long-term thing out of the Air Force, or you might think you want to and you want that option later. Going 6 years is basically the fastest way to become a staff sergeant in the Air Force, which is E5. It basically allows you to go through the promotion steps faster, because like for me, when I joined as an Airman Basic, I had to wait 6 months to put on Airman, and then I had to wait 10 months to put on A1C, and then from there I have to wait even longer. I don't even know what they are off the top of my head, but you have to wait until you become a senior airman, and those are the 4 ranks that you automatically get. And then when it comes to staff sergeant, you actually have to test for it, and there's so much other stuff that goes into it as well. So basically, when you join and you do 6 years, you already are an A1C when you get out of tech school, so you have to wait less time to become a senior airman. And if you get BTZ on top of that, you're gonna become a senior airman so fast, which means you can basically make staff sergeant in I think like 3 or 4 years, which is absolutely crazy. I've seen it. I've seen somebody make staff sergeant in like 3 years, but they didn't sew on to the 4th year or something like that. And then literally by the end of your 6 years, you can basically, right when you re-enlist-ish, be like a tech select or something like that. I've literally seen this, and it's kind of crazy, and it's really viable for the people who do want to make a career out of the Air Force, because by the time you're done with your first enlistment or barely starting your second enlistment, you're already almost a tech sergeant, or you are a tech sergeant. We actually had an MTL in tech school who did this. He got in trouble and he ended up getting demoted back to staff sergeant, I think, but in 6 years, he made tech sergeant, which is absolutely crazy. Like, it's pretty crazy because a lot of people in the Air Force, like the higher ups and leadership and stuff like that, are tech sergeant and higher, and he did it in 1 enlistment. So I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Another one of the pros is that you can get a signing bonus, and also on top of that, okay, so basically you get a signing bonus when you do tough jobs, basically, like when you're an EOD, which is like explosive ordnance disposal or something like that, or a combat controller. I think there's all these other super hard jobs that a lot of people don't want to do, and they offer enlistment bonus to those people who are basically always going to be deployed, but they can sign your 6-year contracts and they can get enlistment bonuses and stuff like that. On top of that, there are also re-enlistment bonuses. So basically, once you're gonna re-enlist, depending on the job that you have, you can get a re-enlistment bonus. And if you're in for 6 years, it's based off your base pay. So if you're in for 6 years and you make staff sergeant in those 6 years, your re-enlistment bonus is gonna be a lot bigger than if you do a re-enlistment bonus when you're doing 4 years, because the pay difference between, what is it, like an E4 and an E5 is actually pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal once you're like a leader, like leadership, versus when you're just kind of like a field airman, I guess is what you would say. So I'm not gonna do the math because I really don't like doing math, but somebody who graduates tech school as an A1C is obviously gonna be getting paid more than somebody like me who graduates as an airman. So there's like a 10-month gap where you're gonna get paid more. So what it really comes down to is that money that you're going to be getting paid extra, not necessarily extra, but paid more than somebody who joins and does a 4-year contract, is it worth 2 years? So if you actually do the math, and it also depends on your route in the Air Force, if you get demoted and all sorts of stuff, but if everything goes to plan at the most base level and you're the same as everybody else, there's only going to be like a $900 or a couple $1,000s difference between joining and doing 4 years as an Airman Basic or joining and doing 6 years as an A1C. So it really just depends on the type of person you are, because some people are like, well, why would I do 2 years for a couple trips to Chipotle and Chick-fil-A for a few $1,000s when that's not really going to be beneficial if I hate my job? Like, if I'm doing an extra 2 years of something I don't like to do, then why would I do 6 years when I can do 4 years and it's less, and I have the option to extend later? So that's kind of where a lot of people change their mind. They're like, well, I should have done 4 years because if I don't like my job, that's cool. I don't want to like trash 6 years because it is viable for some people. Some people like that commitment, and it really comes down to, like, I know I keep saying that, it really comes down to, but there's so many different decisions and factors in joining 6 years and 4 years. It's actually kind of crazy. But what it comes down to is, if you hate, like, the people who want to stay in for a really long time, and some people make the commitment to join the Air Force, which is a pretty big commitment, like me and other people who did 4 years, like, we don't necessarily care about the other stuff, we just wanted to join the Air Force. And then you have the extra level of commitment of, I'm going to stay in the Air Force for 20 years. I don't care if I like my job, I don't care what I'm doing, I don't care if I'm scanning cat cards at the gate in negative 20-degree weather. It really doesn't matter to me. I want to serve my country, and I want to do 20 years in the military, and this is what I'm gonna do. Some people have that mentality, and so they only have the options of 6 years in doing and getting those other benefits, because if they did 4 years, they're missing out on something that they could have because they're gonna stay in anyways. And I know most people don't have that mentality. Most people will just want to serve the military for a short amount of time. They want to put in their time. They want to get out and go do something else with their life. But the reason the option for 6 years is there is for people who still want to stay in the military. One last thing that I'm going to touch on in this video is that there's a pretty fine difference in cross-training too between the two. When you join 4 years, if you hate your job, you only have to wait 3 years until you can cross-train. But if you sign 6 years, I believe you have to wait like 4 or 5 years until you can cross-train. Again, this isn't that big of a deal if you really don't care and you still want to stay in the military and you're definitely going to re-enlist and cross-train. Then you just have to put up with a few extra years of something you don't like doing. But if you're doing 4 years, you just have to keep in mind, if you don't want to stay in or you only want to do one extra enlistment or whatever, you only have to do 3 years of something you don't want to do versus doing something that's crazy long, right? Because 2 years of something that you hate literally feels like forever. I mean, there is an end to everything, and when you look back at it, it's probably not going to feel like it was that bad, but when you're in the midst of your problem, it's gonna not be the greatest situation that you've ever been in. So anyways, I hope this video kind of clears up some stuff. I know the first one was biased, and this one is still kind of biased. My opinion is I just lean towards the 4-year for most people, because a lot of people don't know if they want to stay in the military, but there are military brats out there, people who grew up with the military mentality and they traveled from base to base with their parents because they were in. Those are most of the people that I've met who stay in for 6 years and want to make a career out of it are those people who have been exposed to the lifestyle, and so they know, okay, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to sign 6 years, because they already have a fundamental understanding. But a lot of people don't, and they're just like, okay, well, I don't know if I want to do this forever, so let's start at the base level and then go from there. So hopefully this video kind of clears that up for you. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, leave your ship dates and any questions that you may have about 4 years or 6 years or being aware of recruiters or whatever the case may be. Leave your questions down below. If you haven't checked out my art already, the links are down there too as well. Go check out my Instagram, and do not forget, we're almost at 4,000 subscribers. I have a cool video coming out for when that does happen. Do not forget to subscribe if you do enjoy these videos and you're interested in joining the Air Force and you want all the information. Again, for the 3rd time, thank you so much for watching, and peace out.